My beloved child, I am breaking every chain that has held you captive. Not some of them, not most of them, every single one of them. The chains that wrapped around your finances and made you feel like you would never escape the cycle of lack. The chains that locked around your body and convinced you that sickness was your permanent reality. The chains that bound your mind to patterns of thought that told you lies about who you are and what you deserve. The chains that gripped your heart and refused to let you believe that you could ever be loved completely, safely, fully. I am shattering them all. And when I say I am breaking them, I do not mean I am loosening them a little bit so you can squeeze through with effort. I do not mean I am weakening them, so that maybe one day with enough strength you might be able to snap them yourself. I mean I am obliterating them so completely that they will never have the power to hold you again. This is not a partial breakthrough. This is not a temporary relief that will fade when the emotion of this moment passes. This is not a surface level change that looks good for a few days before the old patterns come creeping back. This is total. This is complete. This is permanent. When I move in your life to bring breakthrough, I do not do halfway miracles. I do not give you freedom with conditions attached. I do not open one door while keeping 3 others locked. I demolish every barrier. I remove every obstacle. I destroy every limitation that the enemy has tried to place on your life. And I do it in such a thorough way that there is no going back to what was before. You have been living under limits that were never mine. Limits on how much provision you could experience. Limits on how much health you could walk in. Limits on how much peace you could feel. Limits on how much joy you could carry. Limits on how deep your relationships could go. Limits on how free your mind could be. Limits on how healed your heart could become. Those limits were placed on you by a combination of circumstances, lies, trauma, agreement with defeat, and the schemes of an enemy who wanted to convince you that small was all you could ever have. But I'm removing those limits, not adjusting them, not raising them slightly, removing them completely. Because the life I have for you does not operate within the boundaries that have contained you up until this point. The breakthrough I am bringing is fundamentally different from what human effort can produce. Human breakthrough is incremental. It happens slowly, with constant effort, requiring discipline and willpower and consistency. It is fragile, easily lost if you miss a few days or make a few wrong choices. It is dependent on your strength, your strategy, your ability to maintain momentum. And the moment you get tired or distracted or discouraged, everything slides back to where it was before, sometimes even worse than before. Human breakthrough is limited by your capacity, your resources, your understanding, your circumstances. It can only take you as far as your own ability can carry you. And when you reach the edge of what you can do, you get stuck there, frustrated, exhausted, wondering why you cannot seem to break through to the next level, no matter how hard you try. But divine breakthrough is different. It is not incremental. It is sudden. It is not dependent on your effort. It is dependent on my power. It does not require you to maintain momentum. It creates its own momentum. It is not fragile. It is permanent. It is not limited by your capacity. It is limited only by my willingness, and I am more than willing. Divine breakthrough does not happen because you finally got yourself together enough to deserve it. It happens because I have decided that the time has come for you to step into what I have always intended for you. It happens because I am intervening in your situation in ways that you could not orchestrate on your own. It happens because my power is being released into your circumstances to change what you could not change, to open what you could not open, to remove what you could not remove. And when divine breakthrough comes, it does not just improve your situation, it transforms it. It does not just make things a little bit better. It shifts you into an entirely different reality. You do not go from struggling to managing. You go from barely surviving to thriving in abundance. You do not go from sick to slightly less sick. You go from disease to complete health. You do not go from broken relationships to tolerable relationships. You go from brokenness to deep, authentic, healed connection. This is not about making the best of a bad situation. This is about the situation itself being completely changed by the hand of God. The chains that have held you in financial limitation are breaking right now. And I need you to understand something about these chains. They are not just about numbers in a bank account. They are not just about the amount of money you have or do not have. They are about the entire system of thinking and believing and operating that has kept you locked in a cycle of lack. The chain is in your mind that tells you that you will never have enough. The chain is in your heart that feels shame every time you cannot provide in the ways you wish you could. The chain is in your expectations that have been lowered so many times that you stopped even hoping for abundance because it felt too painful to keep hoping for something that never came. The chain is in your behavior patterns. The way you make decisions out of fear instead of faith. The way you settle for less because you have been taught that less is all you can expect. I am breaking every single link in that chain. I am changing your mind about what is possible for you financially. I am removing the shame that has attached itself to your financial situation. I am restoring your ability to hope for abundance without feeling foolish or naive. I am teaching you to make decisions based on my promises instead of based on your past experiences. And as those internal chains break, the external circumstances are going to shift to match the internal transformation. You are going to see provision flow toward you in ways that you cannot explain based on your current reality. You are going to encounter opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. You are going to watch doors open that you did not even know existed. You are going to receive favor from people who have no logical reason to favor you, except that I have put it in their hearts to bless you. This is not going to be a slow climb out of financial struggle. This is going to be a sudden shift into a completely different financial reality. One day you are going to look around and realize that the constant worry about money that used to dominate your thoughts is gone. The fear that used to spike every time an unexpected expense came up is not there anymore. The shame that used to wash over you when you had to say no to things because you could not afford them has been replaced with confidence and peace. The exhaustion of always juggling and rearranging and trying to make it stretch is no longer your reality. You are going to be living in financial abundance, not just enough to get by, not just enough to stop worrying quite so much. Abundance, the kind that allows you to be generous. The kind that allows you to say yes to opportunities without having to calculate whether you can afford it. The kind that allows you to bless others the way I have blessed you. And this abundance is not coming because you suddenly became brilliant at managing money, or because you figured out some secret formula, or because you hustled harder than everyone else. This abundance is coming because I am your Father, and it gives me joy to provide abundantly for my children. It is coming because you are an heir, and it is time for you to step into your inheritance. It is coming because I own the cattle on 1,000 hills, and I have decided that some of that wealth needs to be transferred into your hands so that my purposes can be accomplished through you. You are not going to have to beg for this, or manipulate circumstances to get it, or compromise your integrity to receive it. You are going to receive it as a gift from my hand, given freely, generously, abundantly, because that is who I am, and that is how I provide for those I love. Your health is going to be completely restored. And just like with the financial chains, the chains around your health are not only physical. Yes, there is the physical reality of the sickness or the pain or the limitation in your body. But there are also chains in your mind that have agreed with the diagnosis, chains in your heart that have lost hope for healing, chains in your identity that have started to define you by your condition instead of by your position as my child. The doctor told you that this condition is chronic, and you will have to manage it for the rest of your life. And somewhere deep inside you agreed with that prognosis, and stopped believing that complete healing was possible. The pain has been there so long that you cannot remember what it feels like to live without it, and you have started to accept it as just part of who you are now. The limitation has stolen so many things from you that you have grieved and adjusted, and learned to live within the smaller version of life that the sickness allows. I am breaking all of those chains. I am speaking to your body and commanding every system to function the way I designed it to function. I am reversing damage. I am healing disease. I am restoring strength. I am removing pain. I am giving back what the sickness stole. But I am also speaking to your mind and your heart and your identity. I am breaking the agreement you made with the diagnosis. I am restoring your hope for complete healing. I am reminding you that you are not defined by your condition. You are defined by my nature in you. You are not a sick person trying to get well. You are a healed person whose body is catching up to the spiritual reality of what I already accomplished for you through the cross. The healing I am bringing is not going to be a slow, gradual improvement where you feel slightly better over time. It is going to be a sudden, complete restoration that leaves doctors speechless. You are going to suddenly realize that the pain is gone, not diminished. Gone. Your body will move in ways that it has not been able to move in years, and there will be no limitation, no restriction, no consequence for pushing too hard because the weakness is no longer there. You are going to have energy flooding through you, the kind of energy you thought was gone forever, the kind that makes you want to move and do and engage with life, instead of just trying to conserve enough strength to get through the day. When you look in the mirror, you will see vitality instead of exhaustion, life instead of disease, strength instead of frailty. And when the medical tests come back showing that the condition is gone, when the doctors cannot explain how this happened, when everyone who knew how sick you were stands in shock at how completely you have been healed, you are going to know beyond any doubt that this was me. This was not a natural progression. This was not the result of treatment or medicine or time. This was divine intervention. This was the hand of God touching your body and speaking wholeness into every cell, every organ, every system. This was the same power that raised Jesus from the dead working in you to bring life where there was disease, strength where there was weakness, healing where there was sickness. The relationships in your life that have been broken are going to be healed. And these chains are perhaps the most painful of all, because they involve people you love, people who were supposed to be safe, people whose presence in your life was meant to bring joy and support and connection. But somewhere along the way, things went wrong. Words were spoken in anger that cut deep and were never taken back. Actions were taken that caused wounds that never fully healed. Misunderstandings created distance that became wider and wider over time, until you could barely remember what it felt like to be close. Betrayal shattered trust so completely that you built walls to protect yourself from ever being hurt like that again. And those walls kept out not just the person who hurt you, but also the possibility of ever having the kind of relationship you used to have. The chain around these relationships is made of pain and pride and fear. The pain of what happened. The pride that refuses to be the first one to reach out because reaching out feels like admitting that you were wrong, or that you need them more than they need you. The fear that if you open yourself up again, if you tear down the walls and try to reconnect, you will just be hurt all over again in the same way, or even worse. So the relationship stays broken, the distance stays in place, the silence continues, and with every day that passes, the possibility of reconciliation seems more and more impossible. Because how do you bridge a gap that has gotten this wide? How do you heal wounds that have been left open and untended for so long? How do you rebuild trust that was shattered so completely? You cannot, but I can. I am doing a work in every heart involved in this broken relationship. I am softening what has been hardened by hurt. I am opening what has been closed by fear. I am removing the pride that has prevented anyone from making the first move. I am healing the wounds that have made reconciliation feel too risky. I am restoring the trust that was broken. And I am creating opportunities for conversations that need to happen. Conversations where truth can be spoken without defensiveness, where apologies can be given and received, where forgiveness can flow freely, where understanding can replace judgment, where love can be rebuilt on a foundation that is stronger than it was before. This is not going to be a fragile surface-level piece where everyone is just pretending that nothing happened and hoping that if no one mentions the past, it will somehow stop hurting. This is going to be deep, authentic, solid healing where the past is acknowledged, where the pain is validated, where responsibility is taken, where forgiveness is extended.